So this is going to be a quick video of me explaining um, some of the mechanics of the game and the deck I was using. So Black Spider-Man, in the video that I was playing, I was using the deck that I have built based around Black Panther. So in the course of the match, you saw me play, who was it? Scorpion first. So when you play Scorpion, every card that's in their hand, aka the cards that you can see at the bottom of my screen, that's considered what's in your hand. The cards that you can't see are what's your deck. So you draw those cards from the deck. Well, Scorpion drops their power by 1. The power is on the right side. The energy cost is on the left side. So I need 2 energy points to play Scorpion, and his power is at 2. The guy played the Hood, who has -2 power, and then he has a 1 cost. So when you first see that, you're like, oh, well, he has -2. Why would you play the Hood? Well, when you play the Hood, you get access to a demon card that you can draw, and that has a higher power cost or power level, and then the cost is 1. So it's actually pretty good, especially if you run a deck based around destroying cards, because then you can just get rid of the Hood in a destroy deck. And then with Sunspot, for every time you play him, well, when you have him and you don't spend energy, he gains power. So if I play Sunspot and then on turn 3 I don't play anyone, his power goes up 3. So he'll go from 1 to 4. In the video, they played Storm. So what Storm does, she... Okay, so Storm costs 3 and she has a power of 2. When you play Storm, she floods the location. So she changes the location to flooding. So you get 1 more turn to put cards there, and then after that turn, it goes to flooded. You can't put any more cards in that area unless you have cards that can move, like Nightcrawler. And what I mean by that is, when you play Nightcrawler, he has an ability you can move this card once after you play him. So if he's on the left side, and then you decide you want to put him somewhere else, you can grab Nightcrawler on another turn, and you can place him in another location. You can do that once. There's other cards that have those abilities, very similar. But for the deck that I use in this video, I played Okoye because she buffs every card in my deck, not in my hand, just my deck, by 1. And I played Yondu because when you play Yondu, he actually gets rid of a card off the top of your opponent's deck, so they can't use that card. As for the rest of this deck, I have Killmonger. His ability is he destroys all cards that cost 1. He costs 3, has a power of 3, but when I play him, he destroys every card that costs 1. So Sunspot, Yondu. This includes 1 cost cards on your side and on their side. But I have Killmonger in this deck specifically for Sunspot, because if you don't monitor where Sunspot is, he can easily get to having a power of one of these higher cost cards. So when you play Forge, he has a low power, but his ability gives the next card you play +2 power. This is a really good ability. Comes in handy with Black Panther. It pretty much comes in handy with anyone, but a lot of times I'll use it on Sunspot, or I'll use it on Black Panther or She-Hulk. Um, so to prevent Killmonger from killing Sunspot, I use armor. So when you play armor, she covers the area in her armor, and no cards in that location can be destroyed. Now this is important for my deck. Um, I'll explain some of the hard counters. So Jubilee is also in this deck. She plays a card from your deck, not from your hand, but the reason why I have Jubilee in this deck is because if I play Jubilee on turn 4, I have a chance of getting this guy that has 20 power. And to play him, normally, you have to skip a turn, and then you can play him. So on turn 5, you have to skip turn 5, and then you can play him, unless you have a card that will give you enough energy to play him earlier. Jubilee can skip all that, and you can play Jubilee, and you can end up getting him. So, with that being said, my heavy hitters in this deck, Black Panther has an ability where when you play him, his power doubles. So he goes from 4 to 8. If you happen to get him out of the deck after you play Okoye, then he goes to 5/10. But if that happens and then you play Forge, then it's a 7/14. And then She-Hulk has a similar mechanic to Sunspot, but instead of her power increasing for energy that's not used, her card cost goes down. So theoretically, you could get She-Hulk's cost down to 1, and you could play her at the same time as Black Panther. And that's also why I have armor, not just to protect Sunspot, but because these 3 cards, they have a hard counter. Especially if you build them up. And it's Shang-Chi. So if they have Shang-Chi and I play him, Shang-Chi's ability is he destroys all cards that have a power of 9 or more. He's really good to have in your deck. You get him in pool 2. But this is the Black Panther deck that I was running in that video. I have a few other ones. So my destroy deck is based on destroying my cards to power them up. So Nova's in this deck. If you destroy Nova, then he buffs all of your cards that are on the board. And then I've got Bucky. When you destroy Bucky, he turns into the Winter Soldier. If you're asking, like, what does that mean to destroy your cards? It means what it implies. You are getting rid of this card off of the board. So Carnage, when you play him, he will destroy your other cards. He will kill them, pretty much. But for every card of yours that he destroys, he gets 2 power. So if you play him at a location with 3 cards, then he gets a +6. So he becomes a 2/8. I have Colossus in this deck just because he can't be destroyed. He can't have his power reduced, and he can't be moved. So sometimes with this deck that helps for some locations if I don't get the rotations that I want. But the other cards that I have in this deck, Wolverine. So if you destroy him or discard him, Wolverine comes back immediately and goes to a random location on the board. Venom works a lot like Carnage. He will destroy all of the cards where you play him. The difference is Carnage goes up +2 per kill. Venom takes whatever their power is. So if I have Killmonger there and then Venom kills him, Venom gets that 3 power that Killmonger has. If I have Death on the board and Venom kills her, then he gets that 12 power. And then Sabretooth, if you destroy him, his card cost goes down to 0 and he immediately goes back to your hand, so you can play Sabretooth again for free. Deathlock destroys every card at the location. So sometimes what I do is I'll put Nova somewhere and then I'll try to build up for Carnage or Venom, and then I'll have Deathlock, kill Nova, so that way I already have cards elsewhere on the board. And then I have Shang-Chi here to take out their heavy hitters. And then Death costs 9, the most you get is 6, except for some locations. Her ability is, for every card that gets destroyed in the game, her card cost goes down by 1. So with Killmonger, if they play a bunch of 1-cost cards, Killmonger can get rid of a lot of them. There's been a couple of matches where I got her card cost down to 2 just because of Killmonger and then either Carnage or Sabretooth. Some of the cards that I have that you might be interested in, I've got Sam Alexander right here. So this is a variant. The alternate skins for the cards are called variants. So this is the base one. This is what you get. But then you can get boxes that will come with a variant. Or you can go to the shop, which changes every day. So Ant-Man is a solid card. Elektra actually destroys a 1-cost card when you play her. If you play a card in the same spot as Hawkeye, then he gets +2 to his power. So Morbius, this is a pretty good card. So for every card that you discard, Morbius gets 2 power. I got Black Widow. I've got 2 different ones. They do the same thing. So when you play Black Widow, you get this your opponent gets the Widow's Bite. So then they have to play this card that has 0 cost and 0 power. Otherwise, they cannot draw any more cards. And then there's Bucky, turns into the Winter Soldier. Dagger is a card that I just got. She goes into a movement deck. So when she moves to a location, she gets +2 power for each card that your opponent has there. So if someone has 4 cards in a location and you move her to that location, then she goes to a 2/1 to a 2/9. These are the different Carnage variants that I have. I got this variant from the season pass, and then this variant I got in a random. Daredevil lets you see your opponent's play on turn 5. There's Craven. I just got Mojo like an hour ago. When you level up cards, they have a white border, and then you level them up to uncommon. It doesn't actually improve the card. The card stays the same, the abilities, the power, and all that stuff. It just increases the rarity. So I have this Okoye at uncommon, and then I have this one at infinity, which is the highest level you can get. It goes common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, ultra, infinity. So when you get a card to this level, it gets this special border, but then it also splits into a new copy. And so this one has a foil background, and you can repeat the process with the split that you get. This is a Star-Lord variant I have. Multiple Man is a pretty cool card. Silver Surfer is the season pass card for this current season that just started. This is the base Captain America, and then this is the variant that I have up to infinity, and then this is the split for that. There are different types of splits. There's a gold background, there's black and white, and then there's a few different versions of the rainbow foil. There's Cosmo. Cosmo can shut down on reveal abilities. Spider-Man will prevent someone from playing a card in a location on the next turn. I've got the black symbiote suit. I've got Sandman. Sandman's pretty good because when you play him, you can only play one card per turn on both sides. These are the Miles Morales cards that I have. Got Emma Frost. Got Hobgoblin. And then there's Iron Man. You start off with him. There's Taskmaster. White Tiger. Blue Marvel. Double Dinosaur. Leech. Professor X. Ronan the Accuser. This is the default Black Panther card. And then this was one that you got as a level 50 reward on the season pass for the last season. And then there's Claw, Gamora, there's default Spider-Woman, and then this was the variant that you got in the first season with Miles Morales. I just got this Vision variant. I don't really like the pixel variants. There's Abomination. Dr. Octopus. We got the leader, Dr. Doom. So when you play Dr. Doom, he summons 2 Doom bots. We got Spectrum, Onslaught, Apocalypse, Heimdall, Odin, America Chavez. There's Variant, She-Hulk, and this is the variant that I have. Hulk, Infinite, Death. There's a lot more cards in the game. I don't have all of them. Like, I still don't have Deadpool. I don't have Arnim Zola. I don't have Valkyrie, Thanos, Galactus, Shuri. There's Korg. He puts rocks in your opponent's deck. Mantis, Misty Knight, Rocket, Quicksilver, Ebony Maw. We got Beast, Cable, Goose, Kraven, Medusa, Mr. Sinister. He makes clones of himself. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics that I explained in the comments. And then this is a shop where you can get variants of cards. So this is the same as the other Jubilee, just with different artwork. They just added the token shop, so they'll put a card that you don't have here. If you like it, you can pin it so it doesn't go away. It changes every 8 hours. I used my tokens on day 2 because She-Hulk ended up in the shop, so I went and got her. The next one that I want out of Series 5 or 4 is Titania. And then you can do a quick upgrade here. I wouldn't recommend it because you have to pay more for any boosters that you don't have. So like in the upper right hand corner where it says 50, those are boosters that I have for Nova. So I click here, it'll cost me 20 boosters and 200 units to level him up. I only have 75, so I can't do it right now. But if I only had 10 units, I would go here and it would charge me more for the boosters that I don't have. So if I wanted to level this debris up normally, it would cost me 25 instead of 50. But since I don't have any boosters for it, it costs 50. And then this is where you check your rank. And you check your missions here. There's a featured location, so this has a higher chance of showing up. It lets you draw 3 cards, and then it destroys your deck. So you can only play what's in your hand. You you have a very limited card pool to work with. But I can upload more videos to explain more of the gameplay at a later time, because